Hey everybody, welcome to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is a virtual game show host. His name's John Grindle. It sounds a little bit more like an elf at the North Pole, but he hosts virtual game shows, and we're going to talk with him about how to play for a living. You can find John at Grin.Events, and you can find Playful Humans at playfulhumans.com. If you want a little more fun, flow, and fulfillment in your life, that's our mission, to empower the burned out and bored to have more fun. So go take the Playfulness Quiz, playfulhumans.com/quiz. Are you ready, John?
Oh, I'm ready. This is the first time I've ever been referred to as an elf, so that's good.
Yes, I thought you would like that. Every time I see your name, I'm like, Grindle. It sounds like an elf. It could definitely be in a Christmas story, but it also has the word grin in it, which makes it great for Grin Events.
It was a stretch, I know, but that's how we came up with the name of the company.
Yeah. All right, we got to start with the joke of the week. The joke of the week is brought to you by Robin Williams Movies. Robin Williams Movies. Without a doubt, my favorite is Mrs. Fire. Robin Williams Movies. Get it? Without a doubt, Mrs.
Yep.
Fire.
I got it.
All right. Okay. Do you have a joke for us this week, John?
Okay, I have two go-to jokes. Do you like olives or tomatoes? Which one do you want to start with?
I'm gonna go olives.
Okay, Daddy Olive, Mommy Olive, and Baby Olive are walking down the street, just minding their own business, going about their day. And Baby Olive starts to lag behind a little bit, and Mommy Olive and Daddy Olive are like, "Hey, hurry up, come on!" So Baby Olive starts running up towards them. Wasn't paying attention though. It hits a pebble, rolls off the curb all the way down to the bottom into the street. And the Daddy Olive and the Mommy Olive are just shocked and they're petrified. And the Daddy Olive runs back, Baby Olive, are you okay? Are you okay? And the Baby Olive looks up with kind of sheepish eyes and says, "Olive."
Nice.
I never said it was a good joke, but it's a joke.
No, that's a great dad joke for sure, and one you can share. I have one a little bit dirtier today, but since I know you, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But I thought I might push the envelope a little bit here. So, did you hear about the guys who dipped their balls in glitter? They were pretty nuts.
Nice. You need to have the drum track for after those. But
I know. Okay, I'll get it. I'll work on that for next time for sure. I got to get the. Okay, so we should probably start. Full disclosure that we know each other. I auditioned and am working with you in the virtual game shows and absolutely loving it. We've been having a ton of fun for corporate events, parties. Anybody that wants to charity events. All kinds of good times, hosting game shows online for people to have a little bit of fun in this post-COVID world where nobody's getting together and having company parties and stuff. So
yeah,
you want to
exactly.
tell me a little bit about how you started that and how it came to be?
Yeah, I'll give you the short version of it. So I've been in the team building industry, entertainment for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. And we did all in-person events. I'd never done a virtual event. And then in March, when all this happened and COVID hit and my calendar for March, April, and May went from nice and busy to exactly 0, I took a couple days to feel sorry for myself. And then I decided, well, let's see what we can do. Is there anything that we can convert to the virtual space? I'll be honest, I didn't really know much about, we use Zoom for basically everything that we do. And I didn't really know much about how to use it. So I had a buddy of mine help me out and get me up to speed on that. And we had a game show that we were doing and it was already computer based. So I decided to see if that would work. And we did a quick test with some of my buddies from college and it worked and it was fun. And basically after that, I figured out how to do it with a lot of trial and error, and it worked out. And so we've been doing it since. We had our first event in April, first week of April, and we've been going nonstop since. And you mentioned that we know each other through the game show. It's been a really fun ride because I've had the pleasure to work with and meet a lot of new people that are basically fun and just have a good time. And we do our best to bring the fun to the virtual space.
It is an amazing group of people. Really, it re-energized me because I was really burned out and kind of getting to the end of the year, like, oh my gosh, I gotta just make it to like the holiday break and just survive 2020 and kick things over. But meeting everybody, so much fun. And then I guess, without dwelling on it too much here, you have a lot of fun. There's like buzzers and sound and music and costumes and fake sponsors and all kinds of stuff. It's not just like, hey, let's get on and let me ask you some trivia questions. You really put together like a fun show for people, and it's been great.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we don't take ourselves very seriously. And I mean, my whole thing, the whole reason for it is just to get some laughs, to have some fun. And much like pretty much everybody, I've done the bar trivia thing before, and it's fun. You get to hang out with your friends, but I always thought they were kind of boring. So I never wanted to have anything that was, solely trivia based. It was all about having fun and laughing with each other and being silly. And I mean, that's what it's all about. Just high energy, fun, being silly, and make sure that if you're laughing at me, you're laughing. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. I love that part of it. And then we did a charity event too, which was really cool, where all the dollars that we won in our fake game went to charity, thanks to the company sponsor. I thought that was an amazing idea to share with everybody here on the podcast, and hopefully they use that. But I want to roll back a little bit in your career, because you're kind of like me. You also have a nerd side that is
I
hidden. And I'm
do.
sure people that see you as a virtual game show host don't know about your software programming and your project management certification that you have and stuff. Uh,
Do
and
I
people
still
that know
have
you
that?
from that world, I don't know, do they expire? Um,
They do.
yeah, well, yeah, there you go. So, but I'm kind of that way too. And then people that knew me from web design world were like, what, you host karaoke shows and DJ and can't put it together? How did you reconcile those two? Did they kind of come together, or do you flip back and forth? What was that like when you're trying to figure out what you were going to do?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I studied computer science in college, and it was one of those things that I had a career and had a pretty good job out of school, and realized pretty quickly that computers just weren't my thing. I mean, you have to be kind of a solitary person to be a really good programmer or database person or even in the web world. So I started to realize pretty quickly that it just wasn't for me. Within 5 or 6 years out of school, just realized that it kind of wasn't my thing. And I tried to start to do, a little bit of entrepreneurial stuff. A lot of it was in the web world. And again, I wasn't super successful at that. So I kind of did a little bit of soul searching for a while and kind of had an aha moment with some buddies about, what is it that you do and that you do well and what you can do. And I'll never forget it. One of my buddies, we were talking about what I was doing at the time, and one of my buddies is like, "What are you doing? You got to stop that. I mean, do what you do well." And he said something along the lines of, "You're like genius level at having fun. Figure that out. Just figure out how to do that." And I remember thinking, he's 100% right. So let's figure out, what's out there that I can do, that I can actually have some fun doing. And I did a little bit of research, found the team building industry, and I don't know how much you really know about that and your listeners know about that, but it was a good fit for me. I didn't know anything about it. Worked for a couple companies, learned the industry, always hoping that I would, kind of turn it into my own thing and playing games. And we can talk about that. Just growing up playing games with my family, my
Yeah.
parents and my sister. That's what we always did, and that's what we still do, is play games when we're together. And so when all this came through and the pandemic hit, it was an interesting thing for me because I felt like I had found my groove, doing the team building style events and having fun and being a facilitator, being an MC, kind of being in charge of large groups. And then those large groups were not possible anymore. And I had to figure out a way how to do it virtually. And I didn't do any, real techie stuff to do that. But my computer skills plus my game skills kind of came together in this virtual game show.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty cool. It's been a pretty fun ride so far.
I love that. My experience was a lot the same. I mean, even going back to childhood memories that I have of having fun are usually family games. we also had a couple of friends. So my brother and I had friends that were a year apart from us. So all four of us were in line each year separately in school and played on the same teams and stuff. So we would just spend all day, playing outside, playing games, doing different things. But family times, playing spoons and just like splashing the pot and getting crazy and being loud, or
Spoons.
Uno.
I haven't
Yeah.
played spoons in decades. Got to break that out.
Yeah, we used to have like some crazy loud games with the whole family around the table, or Uno was always a challenge. And for me, I don't know why, but when you're a little kid and you can play a game that you can beat your grandparents at or your parents at, I mean, that's just like magic, right? And everybody would talk trash and have fun. And so Thanksgiving and Christmas days, I just remember having so much fun doing that. And I was like you too, where so this is my story. I haven't shared it on the podcast yet, but I was good at computers too in high school, and we're both kind of the same age. In the 90s, if you could build a website, that was, really impressive. And so I thought, I don't want to be a computer nerd. I don't want to be stuck behind a computer all day in a room by myself. So I was like, I want to be cool. I want to be on the radio. So I do it. I pull it off. I get my own show on Mix 93.3 here in Kansas City. And guess what the job is? Sitting in a room by yourself behind a computer for 6 hours. I thought, oh no, you idiots.
Exactly.
Like the good news is it only pays a fifth of what computer programmers make too. So that's where it's like, I need to readjust what my career things are and find a way to meld the two together. So I think that's awesome. And
it's interesting. You bring up the radio gig, and it's kind of a one-way conversation, right? Like you are having a conversation that people are listening to, but you have no feedback. I found that to be a challenge in the virtual world.
Really hard.
When you do an in-person event and you do something live, if it's clicking or not. If your terrible jokes are hitting, if people are getting energized. In the virtual world, it's hard to read people and get that energy and that feedback. That's been a challenge. I mean, we've kind of figured out our way around it, but it's tough. And I feel for somebody that's in a radio booth that has to bring the energy all the time and have those conversations if they're by themselves. That's a tough gig, man.
It was really hard. I mean, it takes some practice and you work on different, kind of metrics, but yeah, because I DJ'd in the bars and clubs, I was used to seeing people dance and who's into the song and who doesn't. And I could get a good read on what a good song or bad song was. But in radio, you tell the funniest joke you ever heard of, and maybe one little red light flashes in the corner of the, studio, and you're like, oh, great. And it's your one friend that calls and is like, hey, I heard that one. That was pretty funny. You're like, thanks.
And back to Uno and playing games as a kid. I have a 4-year-old son. We play Uno a lot, and he's so good at it. It's so fun to watch him play and be good at it. And he's starting to get a little snarky now. Like when he wins, he'll let me know sometimes. It's pretty
That's
fun.
awesome. Have you done Exploding Kittens yet? That's my other new favorite card game.
We have that game. I don't even know if I've taken it out of the box. I'm ashamed to say. I guess we'll have to break that one out.
Your kids might be a little young, but try it. My 10-year-old niece loves that game, and she is ruthless at it. Like, just will destroy people. It's similar to Uno with like the draw 4 cards and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, she'll just play those things on whoever she's trying to take out of the game, and just
that's great.
Go brutal at it. But super fun. The other thing I saw on your resume was Hershey's, and I thought, like, that's an interesting gig, which could kind of be like playing, and it's always fun to work in candy, but it's also one of those things like when you know how the sausage is made, it's not as fun. So we had a neighbor that sold for Hershey's, and she always had the full-size candy bars at Halloween and stuff. That was great, and gave us all the expired gum, so we didn't buy gum for like 10 years. But what was that like?
I hate to burst your bubble on this one, Mike, but the company was called Hershey Technologies.
Oh, no.
Absolutely nothing to do with chocolate or candy or sweet things or fun. I was not there for very long either. That was not a particularly great one.
Well, that's not as much fun then, and a bad name. I feel like there's some names of companies that you just like, you got to change. Like here
I
are
agree.
cable companies. Time Warner Cable changed to Spectrum, but Cox Communication sticking with it. They're rolling with Cox is their name. I don't
You're trending on
understand.
your theme. You got jokes about private parts today. Well done, Mike.
It is. Yeah, exactly. And all technically clean. Don't need a bleep.
Totally clean. Yeah.
Spelled with an X. So tell me about what you think the importance of play and stuff is, because I know you see this with companies that just a 90-minute break to play some online games with no prizes and nothing just seems like that would be frivolous, but we both know that it's not. How have you seen the importance of that and why companies are investing in play?
Yeah, definitely. I get asked this question quite often, and I haven't really come up with a good stock answer. I found it hard to quantify why fun is important. And I guess what I've kind of come up with is a couple things. First off, if nothing else, it's a good distraction from this crazy weird world we're in, a good distraction from the everyday work life, just a good distraction. The other thing, it for us, since we're playing the game, it's usually a pretty comfortable environment. So you're focused on playing the game, you're focused on having fun, and you kind of forget that it's a work gig. You kind of forget, and I kind of hope this every single time we have an event. I hope that the majority of the people just forget about their work self, whatever persona they have at work. And I think we probably all have some sort of persona that might be slightly different than the true person that we are. So I hope that when they're playing the games, they kind of forget about that person and they get closer to who they really are. And you just kind of have fun. And, my hope every time is that everybody gets to see a little bit inside of, each other and get to know each other. So to answer your question of why it's important, I think it's important to, have some connection that's outside of what our normal work connection is. And we brought up the team building term. I've never liked that. I've always thought it was a mislabeled thing. It's a great idea, get everybody out of the office, have some fun, work together, build your team, work on problem solving, all of that. But I've always hated the name, and I think you say team building to a lot of people and many of your listeners, and the first thing they'll think of is a trust fall. I've never actually done a trust fall, but kind of feel like that's the go-to. So anyways,
I haven't since high school.
Yeah, we try not to use that term. We call it team connecting, because it's really about the social connections. It's about being together and having some fun together. So, getting to know each other, getting connected, especially in this time where we're connected through computers, but we don't have the social connection. We don't have the opportunity to do happy hours and go to lunch, even with 2 or 3 people. And you don't even have the opportunity to in the hallways have conversations and go over to somebody's cubicle or, however it is, and just chit chat. So those things I think are lacking right now. And any way that we can bring the group together to get those connections and have some fun is a positive.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for me, what I've seen is what you said about when people drop their guard and they're really having fun, they are the kind of truest and most authentic version of themselves. So whether it was the sales manager who dressed up as Buddy the Elf to give away prizes on one of the things we were on, or even just in their teams when they're talking about these trivia questions and answers or movies that we've shown or theme songs we've played for them, you get to know people better. You go, oh, I didn't know you were a MacGyver fan, or I didn't know you knew about this. And all of a sudden there is connecting and there's real like team bonding rather than team building, right? It's not like we're trying to improve productivity, but it happens because people get to know each other better and they get to start trusting each other.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
So the other question I had was about playing for a living, because that, I interview people here on this podcast that are playing for a living, because I feel like It's tough. So many people that are in that rat race of, working the career and trying to get a secure job and stuff feel like quitting a job to go start doing virtual game shows or game nights in bars and clubs would be a big risk or uncertainty. But I think that's true about any entrepreneur venture, even if you're starting a plumbing company or something. It's the same kind of risk. So how was that for you, and what have you learned along the way to kind of feel safer about playing for a living?
A good question. Yeah, the entrepreneurial mindset is kind of an interesting one because you have to really be willing and interested and kind of enjoy the risk, right? I mean, there's very few people out there that are starting their own gigs that are feeling like it's a secure blanket, right? So you
Right.
have to kind of jump out there. The other piece for me is, being employed. There's some in risk in that too. I mean,
Right.
somebody else is telling you what to do. They control whether you are an employee or not, and those kind of things. So I was willing to take on those risks. And, at the time when, I got into the fun element and the games, I had been doing a lot of entrepreneurial stuff on my own. And you know the difference between being self-employed and unemployed is it's a very fine line, right? So and it's just as much work to be self-employed as it is to be unemployed because you're always trying to find a job. So as far as the risk, I was fine taking that on. And I've got, my wife has a full-time job, so she's always been my kind of support on that. So I was willing to take that on. And I feel very fortunate. We feel very fortunate, especially in a year, 2020. That's a year that, none of us have experienced anything even close to that. We did pretty well. We were happy and healthy, and my wife kept her job, and my 4-year-old son is having the greatest time of his life because his parents are home all the time. And, the game shows have been successful. So we felt very fortunate about that. And, um, so the risks that were taken up to that time, they kind of played out this year, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think there's two things I wanted to add there. One, you live in San Diego, so it's not like you're scratching by in the lowest possible living either. You guys are having some fun. You're in a good spot, which is great, and I think really impressive. The other thing is what you said about it taking off. That I found when you go with what is your gut and what you're good at, it grows, and so your company grew during COVID, and became more successful and made more money than it did previously, which not a whole lot of industries can say, but I think it
Yeah.
speaks to you doing what is in your swing zone and what you're passionate about, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've even talked about this a little bit, do what you love, do what you enjoy, do what you do well, and the money will follow. I've, not till recently did I actually take that advice.
Yeah.
Being in the computer world, it was, well, this is going to be something that I can do forever. There's going to be good money in it, all of those kind of things. And for me in particular, that was exactly the wrong way to do it, right? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I mean, when you're in your
Right.
20s,
Oh, it's all
how
learning
would you
and
know
growing.
that?
Yeah.
And then when you get to your 30s and 40s, you kind of realize that, hey, maybe my priorities are a little bit different, or at least I did. And it's worked. And I hope it continues to work because I really do feel like I've found where I belong, and I haven't been able to say that before. The last few, maybe 5 years. So I hope this continues.
Yeah, well, it will, and I'm confident that you will, because you find a tribe of really cool, fun people to work with. You found something that you're great at, and people are enjoying. You're making people laugh. I don't see a downside to this. So, if you would like to help keep both of us employed as virtual game show hosts, go to Grin Events and book an event, book a party. Like I said, it's about 90 minutes, and you'll have a blast with your family, friends, coworkers, whatever you got. Talk to John and he'll set up a game for you. And I promise a great time. It really is fun. I had one more question for you though, John, here, before we wrap up and play our game.
Hmm.
Is there anything on your fun bucket list? Is there anything that is like on your dream list of things to do that would be super fun for you?
Fun bucket list. I hadn't thought about that. I'll tell you my version of fun. I think some people's version of fun would be, traveling the world and going to see things or doing things or going to a sporting event or doing those kind of things. I think my true version of fun, the thing that you do is kind of irrelevant. It's more about the people that you're around, right? Whether it's my buddies from college or high school, or family, those kind of things. It doesn't really matter too much what the game is as long as you're having people and having fun there. So this is a terrible answer to your question, but I think the bucket list, it doesn't have to be a specific thing. I guess my
Yeah.
bucket list would be to be able to continue to have fun and always be able to do that and not lose it, not lose the wanting to have fun and be able to do it.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great answer because that's the hard part, right? Everybody has goals of checking something off the list, but then what do you do after that, right? So if you want to go to the Super Bowl, hey, great, go do it. But then you go to the Super Bowl. Well, what's your goal then? Go again next year? Maybe, but let's come up with something creative. So I like just maintaining that creative. All right, I can't force you to have fun, John, but would you like to get weird or would you like to walk away?
No, that's for sure. Let's for sure do this. Has anybody passed on this yet?
Nobody has passed yet. No. And I think we're at about like 15 or so. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
feeling
good.
pretty good about the streak. But
Of course, I would like to play a game. Let's do this.
here's the prize wheel. There is 10 games on the wheel, and we got. Oh, this is a hard one. I haven't played it yet, John. You're the first one. It's the Comfort Zone Challenge. So
Ooh, nice.
over here on my desk, I have about, I don't know, 10, 15 different sheets of paper, all with different quick comfort zone challenges. And so it's kind of like a truth or dare. The first one to wimp out would lose, or we'll just each go a couple of rounds. But I'll give these a shuffle. Would you like me to go first? I feel like that's fair as the host.
I don't care.
Not ask you to
Wait,
do
hold on.
something.
If it's the comfort zone challenge, I should probably go first. Put me completely out of my comfort zone.
Oh, well, here you go. You got an easy one to execute, but it is a comfort zone stretch. Can you twerk for 10 seconds for us, or just do your best version of a twerk?
Is that the thing where I put my rump in the air?
Yeah.
All right, here it is.
And go up and down as fast as you can. This is white guy twerking. You're gonna have to check the YouTube version. There you go, John, nailed it. All right, this one's for me. This is the category challenge. So actually, you have to play with me on this. But we pick a category. Let's do. Star Wars characters. First one to not think of one loses. So I'll start with Yoda.
Chewie.
Solo.
C-3PO.
R2-D2.
Leia.
Rey.
Obi-Wan.
Luke Skywalker. Did we already say that?
I have no idea. Guido.
Guido.
Do you remember Guido?
No, but I'll trust you that he's in there. Mos Eisley.
Is that a character or a place?
She owns the cantina.
Oh, all right, nice. Han Solo. We didn't even say him.
I said Solo. All right, so that was a repeat. All right, I won that one.
Bummer.
Nice. Okay, number 3. Maybe this will be the last one. Okay, this can be the last one. We can both try this one too. Do an impression of a celebrity. What's your best celebrity impression?
Okay, I'm not going to tell you who it is, and then you have to tell me if you know who it is. Okay. So I tell them I'm a looper, a pro jock. So I jump ship in Hong Kong and make my way over to Tibet. And who do they give me? The Dalai Lama himself. Flowing robes, grace, bald, striking. Dalai Lama, so he hauls off and whacks one. Big hit of the Lama, long. Right into a 10,000-foot crevice at the base of this glacier. Do you know what he says to me? Gunga Galunga. Gunga, Gunga, Gunga Lagunga. That's all I got.
There you go. Yeah, you got Bill Murray from Caddyshack. Do I know the character's name? I don't think so.
Carl Spackler.
Carl Spackler. And he also played Spangler. So they were close in Ghostbusters, right?
Nice.
So interesting. Okay. That's good. I don't do a Bill Murray. I have recently done my
Wait, hold on. It turns out I don't do a Bill Murray either.
At least you knew the whole line. So
Yeah,
it was impressive. Okay, I recently did my Christopher Walken impression, which is my all-time favorite. That's, I think, one of the only ways I can make my wife laugh these days after 10 years. But let me see, another good one I like to do. Shoot, I should have had something ready. Okay, I'm gonna go with I did Pee Wee Herman as a kid. That was my first impression that I was really good at. So I'll just give you a little.
so good. Nice.
All right. Awesome. I appreciate you playing, John. Thanks for being on the podcast. Again, Grin.Events, John Grindle, virtual game show host. If you would like more information on Playful Humans, go to playfulhumans.com and take the Playfulness Quiz. Like John mentioned, a lot of people like different things. Do you like to travel? Do you like to play sports? Do you like to create things and do art, make music? You can find out what your playfulness gift is at playfulhumans.com/quiz. But again, play some games with us, virtual events at Grin.Events. And we'll see you soon. Go out there and play. Have fun.
Thanks, Mike. That was fun.
Don't wait for tomorrow.
Also, can we edit out the twerking?
Keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Not a chance. That was my favorite part.